that girl?
Who's that girl?
It's Jess.
New Girl is about a young teacher named Jess who moves into an apartment full of men in LA. The three guys begin to form a bond with Jess and her best friend Cece and spend the next years of their lives creating memories together. In this episode, Jess is trying to create a bond between her and Julia, who is one of Nick's flings. Nick finds this weird, especially since he doesn't know how to label their relationship. Meanwhile, Winston sparks with an old flame. The three main concepts we will be using for New Girl are accommodation divergence, positive politeness, and neutralization of facial expressions. For our first example reenactment, we will begin with the concept accommodation divergence.
According to Jeff Connor Linton's article, Competing Communication Styles and Crosstalk Multi-Feature Analysis, accommodation divergence is when people change their accent, rate of speech, and their words in order to indicate a relational status with a person to whom they are talking to. A person moves away from another style of speech to make a relational point, such as establishing dislike or superiority.
I'm gonna get ready in your room.
Feeling a little bit weird and uncomfortable?
Bye, Julia. See you later tonight. He's helping me get out of the traffic ticket.
Are you seriously using the girl that I'm sleeping with for free legal advice?
Oh, the girl you're sleeping with? What, so now you can't even call her your girlfriend?
We're not putting labels on it.
Put your neighbors on it.
Okay, don't use your sophisticated voice on me.
That is not how you do a sophisticated dance.
In this scene, we see Jess mock Nick when he tells her he doesn't want to put a label on his and hers, or his and Julia's relationship. She changes both her pitch and her accent of the voice to mock Nick, enunciating the fact that she dislikes his opinion on his disbelief in labels. By changing her speech and her behavior pattern, she is able to make a relational point that Nick can pick up on her dislike for his relational beliefs. Now we branch off to accommodation divergence into something a little more positively motivating.
According to Bayan Rabah's article, Oprah Winfrey Talk Show, an analysis of the relationship between positive politeness strategies and speaker ethnic background. Positive politeness is the focus on the positive face of the person, often through flattering or offering something in return.
There was this bird, he's not in the shot, but he was injured and he couldn't get out of the road, so then I braked. Then I had to accelerate out of the intersection.
So you missed your first court date on this.
My ex-boyfriend failed to send it to me before the court date because he doesn't believe in mail, which has something to do with his thoughts on government spending.
Now it's a $800 fine.
That's like a really awesome lawyer like you. So, can you help me?
I can try.
In this scene, Jess needs Julia to help her get out of a traffic ticket, and Julia is doubtful that she'll win her court trial, especially when she missed her first court date. Jess persuades her into helping her by telling her, "That's why I really need an awesome warrior like you." Like what Bayan Rabah's article says in the article, Jess uses the strategy of juxtaposing criticism with compliments, or in other words, Jess butters up Julia with compliments, so it will be more likely she'll agree. The next concept we will discuss will transpire around the avoidance of any emotion, especially in the situation Winston finds himself in.
According to Steve Duck's book, Communication in Everyday Life, the neutralization of facial expression is a form of facial management in which displays of emotion are non-existent or quickly erased.
You know what I want to do now?
What?
Take you on a real date.
Why don't you call me? What's happening? Oh, good night.
In this scene, Winston takes Shelby on an unofficial date which ends very well. Shelby bids Winston goodnight and then walks away. Winston thinks he's in the clear and basically starts doing a weird celebration dance. Shelby catches him and he immediately wipes his emotions off of his face. Winston is a clear example of neutralization of facial expressions because the nonverbal facial emotions are used in this to hide his extreme happiness with a monotone facial expression to make her hopefully think he isn't too excited.
The three main concepts that we talked about in our reenactments for New Girl are accommodation divergence, positive politeness, and neutralization of facial expressions. As mentioned previously, accommodation divergence, positive politeness, and neutralization of facial expressions are all different ways of communicating and interacting with one another. Accommodation divergence was used by Jess and Winston to mock Nick's opinion. Positive politeness was utilized by Jess to persuade Julia to help her get out of a ticket, and the neutralization of facial expressions was used by Winston to hide what he actually felt about Shelby in their next date.